Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Yuri again. I am back with another video. As you can tell from the title, I am doing my labor and delivery story slash mukbang. I did do one in Spanish, and I did have a few people that requested for me to do it in English, and I figured I would do a mukbang. Like, somebody did suggest like a mukbang type story time. So today I'm gonna be eating a pupusa. I have not had a pupusa or done a video of a pupusa in a long, well, I've never done one. I was gonna say in a long time, but I don't know, my brain is all over the place right now. But this is a pupusa revuelta, which has pork, beans, and cheese. I was hoping they would have like one with chorizo, but they didn't. So they also had steak fries, and I was gonna order some steak fries, but the lady's like, oh, it'll take 20 minutes, and I'm like, I ain't got time for that. So she also sells gourmet tacos, and it's funny because my Mexican ass went up there and were like, oh, ¿de qué son los tacos? Like, you know, what kind of tacos do you have? And she goes, this is a Salvadorian, we're Salvadorian, like we don't have like Mexican tacos. And you know, so these are different. They're like ribeye, or I don't know what the hell. And I'm just like, bitch, I just asked what's in the tacos, or what kind of tacos. Like, I didn't say give me mendigos tacos de asada. Like, I didn't say, just, you know, I was just asking like, what kind of tacos do you guys have? But she made me feel kind of dumb, like, oh, we don't have Mexican tacos. And I'm like, did I say? I just said, what kind of tacos do you have? You know what I mean? Anyways, so I'm gonna take a bite because my mouth is watering. And I've never had these pupusas before. Like, there, I saw the lonchera and I was like, I want to try it. So, ooh, wow, that's good. It almost tastes like tamales. Is that weird? This is called curtido. It's cabbage and carrot. Curtido. Just kidding. I don't know how to say curtido in English. I think they put lime juice in it, or I don't know what's in it, but it's good. So anyways, I had my baby. I'm sorry, I have a cold and I can't breathe through my nose, so I'm gonna be doing a lot of this. So yes, I made me a coffee because a coffee with the pupusa sounded so good. I don't know why. Just these two sounded good. And I also bought me these like brownie cheesecakes. They have like cheesecake in the middle. You know, I still crave like sweet things, and you know, I used to not feel guilty saying I had all these cravings because I was pregnant and I felt like it was okay. But now I still crave stuff, and I feel like sad or like uncomfortable saying it because now I know it's because I'm fat. Anyways, so I'm gonna get into the video. My boy was born December 1st at 3:26 p.m. On my last appointment, my 39-week appointment, I went in and, you know, they check you for dilation and all that, and I was like 2.5 centimeters dilated. Like the week before I was 2 centimeters, so like it wasn't a big difference. And they check you, you know, to see if you're effaced, if you've thinned out, and I wasn't. Like, the baby was still really high up. So she was like, my doctor told me, you know, let's talk about induction, you know, you want to get induced? And I'm like, yes, I do. So she let me pick, you know, you want to pick December 1st or December 5th. December 1st was my original due date, so I'm like, let's do December 1st, you know. And you guys, I got this ring, flashing it up in here. I got this ring off a company, from a company called Soulfeel, and they actually sent me this ring. I've worked with them a few times where they sent me like jewelry to show you guys. And I also got this necklace. This video is not like, you know, go buy it. No, I'm just showing you guys because I'm going to talk about that ring. So they let me pick, you know, whatever I wanted from their website, you know, as long as they did a video on it. So this ring, I have my kid's name and birthstone. And when I picked it, I didn't know what birthstone to pick for my son because, you know, I was like, is he going to be born at the end of November? Is he going to be born in December? But since he's a boy, I just picked December because it was blue. And you know, it was pretty cool because he was born in December, you know what I mean? So it was like, I'm glad that I did pick December as his birthstone because he was born in December. So, and then my other son is born in September, and my daughter's in January, which her birthday is this month. Anyways, I wanted to say that. So she asked me what day. I picked December 1st because that was his original due date. And I kind of was hoping like maybe, you know, I would go into labor on my own, you know. I bought the big bouncing ball and I was bouncing my ass on it like all the time. Like every day. Like trying to induce it on my own. Not induce it, but like try to provoke labor to come on its own. Which it didn't. I mean, I was having contractions and I didn't know that I was having contractions until I came into the hospital to get induced. Which I had to come in at 5 a.m. December 1st. It was on a Sunday. I do have a vlog of when my son was born, but it's in Spanish, you know. If you want to go check it out, it's in my vlog channel, Yuri Vlogs. And so we came in, you know, had all my stuff ready. I was very emotional the day before, which with my second son, or my second kid, the middle child, I was induced with him too, and I already, like, I felt emotional the day before too, so I knew it was normal to have all these emotions, and I was like so emotional, like, anyways, so then we, you know, we get up, we go. My mom came over and stayed with my kids, like, you know, so we could go. This is like, it looks weird, it almost looks like tuna fish or something, but they're pretty good. Anyway, so we came in. I had my bags and everything. You know, we checked in. They weighed me. Can you guys believe I went up to 250? Like, I didn't gain weight in the beginning of my pregnancy, and I gained it all pretty much in that last trimester. I was like, God damn. And when I got pregnant, I was 222. So I weighed 250 when I got there. They checked me into my room, which was the same room that my sister had her baby in. My sister Lucy, you know, I told you she had a baby too in October. So I went into the bathroom to change, and when I walked into the bathroom, I stepped into the bathroom floor, and I just hear whoosh, like water, and I'm like, what the hell did I step on? And the floor was flooded. Like, it was flooded. I don't know, the toilet overflowed or what the hell, or if there was a leak, but there was so much water in there. And I called the nurse and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of water in this bathroom and I can't even go in. So they switched me to a different room. And, you know, I went to my new room. I got into my fabulous robe that they gave you there at the hospital. And so I change, you know, you lay down, this nurse comes in, she's telling you everything that she's gonna do to you, you know, she puts your IV in. I got my IV in, and then they, you know, put Pitocin in my IV, which is what will get my contractions, you know, to start, and pretty much I'll, you know, induce labor, you know, that's what it's for. So then, you know, she's like, I don't remember like exactly like the times or anything like that, you know, so I'm sorry. But I think she said that every hour they were gonna like put Pitocin in. Like, they only put like a certain amount, like every hour I think it was, or every 45 minutes. So, you know, so she put the first dose in, and I was like, you know, just laying there, kind of nervous because I've been induced with my daughter. They had to induce my labor because my water broke and nothing happened. So they used Pitocin on me. And that's a whole different story. Anyways, so I was like nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna start feeling these pains here soon and all this crap. I didn't feel nothing. Every hour she would come in and put more, and I felt nothing. Like, the same little contractions I've been feeling for the past, like, what, 2 weeks? Which I thought were Braxton Hicks. And, so, you know, I wasn't feeling anything. And then the nurse came in and she's like, oh, you know, we're gonna break your water around 11. I remember that part. She's like, that's when your doctor or your OB comes in. You know, the doctor I was gonna deliver. And that's when she's gonna come in and we're gonna have her break your water. And I'm like, okay. So then my doctor comes in, but she didn't break my water. Like, she was just like talking to me, how are you doing, you know, how are you feeling, and all this stuff. And I'm like, good. Still, the contractions were very mild, like come and go. And then this nurse is like, are you not feeling anything? And I'm like, I'm just feeling the same crampy feeling, you know. And she's like, okay. So then they were gonna check to see how many centimeters I was dilated. And when she checked me, I was 7 centimeters. But before she checked me, like, she was gonna put her hand in there to check, you know, my dilation. And as she was gonna go in, she goes, oh my gosh, she's like, your water, like, there's like a balloon sticking out of water, like that was my water, that was about to burst. So she's like, it's right here, like, she's like, I can see it. And I'm like, ew, like, really? And she's like, yeah. So then as soon as she was gonna go in to like check for dilation, well, she touched it and it went like, it popped. My water broke right there. She's like, well, we don't need the doctor to, you know, pop your water anymore, or break your water, pop your water, pop your cherry, break your water. And I was like, ooh, you know, but it felt gross, you know, like feeling all that come out. I was like, ooh, it was so uncomfortable, but you know, it's part of labor. So then she checked me after my water broke and all that. She's like, oh my gosh, she's like, you're 7 centimeters dilated. And she's like, have you been feeling any contractions? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I just feel the same thing. Like, nothing has changed, nothing has progressed. Like, my pain level is still the same. She's like, from a 1 to 10, what's your pain level? I'm like, I would say like a 3, maybe 4. Like, it's a little uncomfortable, but nothing. And she's like, really? And she even said, you are strong, because you've gone this far. And I think once you get to 8 centimeters, you can't get the epidural anymore. And she's like, do you want to get the epidural now? And I'm like, yeah. Because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it, you know. I know how bad it hurts. And I knew that if I didn't get it, and I started feeling the pains when I was like 10 centimeters, I was going to regret it. So I'm like, yeah, I want the epidural, you know. So she's like, okay, we'll tell the anesthesiologist to come in. I'm like, okay. So then I forgot to mention, when you get to the hospital, they connect you, know, to hear the baby's heartbeat and monitor your contractions. It was hard for them to keep it on there because I have like a lot of skin on my stomach from like just being so big, you know, and having excess skin. And I've always had that problem even when I was big. They would find the baby's heartbeat, but then they would lose it because there was so much fat in between like the little monitor. It was no different this time because I still have all that excess skin. So they switched it to these little like square looking things that look like stickers, and they're like wireless. They're like, they just stick them on there with no wires or anything, and they monitor you that way. So I was like, cool, you know, I had my freedom. I was able to walk. I was being more active with this baby. With my other two, I did not want to get up off the bed, but I was more active. I was walking around and all that. And I was walking, and then all of a sudden I felt like I needed to go poop. And I'm like, oh my God. And I told Cesar, my Cesar was there. And I'm like, I think I have to shit. Like, you know, I'm like, I think I have to go to the bathroom. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, but what if it's the baby? And I'm like, but I don't think so, because I don't have contractions. Like, I have not felt one contraction that was like, ouch. You know, it's like nothing. And I felt it, like, right there. I know this is too much information, but, you know, this is what happened. Like, this is just keeping it real. This is what happened. I go to the bathroom, handle my business. I did have to go to the bathroom. I don't know what happened with me having a bowel movement, because like as soon as I was coming out of the bathroom, can you hear the baby crying? He's with his dad right now. He's getting him a bottle. I can hear him. Anyways, as soon as I was coming out of the bathroom, I get the biggest contraction that I was like, I grabbed onto the door, like the doorway or whatever, and I grabbed on and I was like leaning over going, ah, like yelling. And I'm telling my husband, oh my God, this freaking hurts. I'm getting a bad contraction. Like, this all scared me. And, you know, I was like hunched over going, oh my God, you know. And that's when I remembered, you know, that how bad the contractions were. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I want the epidural like now. Like now, I really want it, you know. But nobody was in there. So then it went away. And then I walked over to, like, you know, when you are in the bed, in the hospital bed, they put a little table next to you where you can put your drinks. I remember that I was starting to feel another one, and I grabbed onto the table, and I was like leaning forward, and I was like, oh my god, like I got another really strong one. Like it was so bad that I was like this close to start crying. I was gonna start crying and be like, like I can't take it, you know, because they hurt so bad. And I might be a wuss, like some people might think they're not that bad, but I was like, oh my god. And the nurses came in, because I clicked them or called them saying that I was in really bad pain, so they were already in there. And I was like, oh my god, I want the epidural like right now. Sorry, I have the hiccups. And they're like, okay sweetie, you know, we already called him, you know, he should be here soon. And I'm like, oh my god. And I was telling Cess that I remember the pain now, I remember, like, you know, it was so bad. So then the anesthesiologist guy came in so quick. Like he came in, and let me tell you, those 2 contractions were the only strong contractions that I felt, like really strong. And you know, when they're gonna put the epidural in you, they have you like lean forward, and they may have you hug a pillow and stick your back out so they can like put the epidural in, or the needle. And you know, I had to put my knees on top of Cesar. He was sitting in front of me, and you know, he was kind of like, you know, just grabbing my arms. I don't even know what the hell he's doing. And I remember thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna get a contraction like right now, and you can't move when you get the epidural, like they tell you don't move. But no, I mean, I was getting like contractions, but they were so mild still. Like they went back to what I was feeling before the 2 big ones. So then I'm like, I honestly was like, what is going on with these contractions? Like, they're not strong. And for an induction, they should have been like way worse than normal contractions. And I'm like, how come like they're not strong, you know? I mean, I wasn't asking, I wasn't complaining. I was just wondering what was going on. So they put the epidural in. And then I start getting like so like relaxed, like oh my god, I felt so good. And I told the nurse, I could take a nap now, I'm so comfortable right now. So I'm like laying there, and then one of the nurses comes in later. Oh, because they keep checking your water when your water breaks. They keep checking, like they put a big ass pad on you, and they check you to see if your water is still clear, like if it's still coming out clear. Because if it comes out bloody, that means something went wrong, or not all the time, but something could be wrong if it's, you know, if blood comes out. Which I did bleed a lot with my daughter. There was so much blood, it was crazy. Anyway, so they just kept checking, you know. And when she checked, she took the pad off because she was gonna put a new one. And when she took the pad off, I noticed that there was like poop on it. And I was like, oh my god. I told her I shit myself, didn't I? And because I couldn't feel nothing down under no more. So I'm like, I probably shit myself because I can't feel anything, and I have like diarrhea now. And she's like, I don't know. But she looked confused, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, I mean, that's a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure I shit myself, you know. Which, if you don't have kids and you're in labor and you start having like pushing the baby out, you will shit yourself. Not all, but some. Most do shit themselves, just so you know. So anyways, so you know, she kept like looking, and she's like, I don't know if it was you. She's like, maybe it's the baby. She's like, it looks like meconium. As soon as she said that, I was like, no, you know, like I know that's when the baby like poops inside you. And I was like, oh my god. So she calls the other nurse in. The other nurse comes in and she's checking. I'm not lying, they were all up in my ass like this. Like they were trying to figure out if it was me. And then they figured out it wasn't me, and she's like, I don't think it was her, I think it's the baby. And I felt like my stomach dropped, like my heart dropped, and I was like, oh my god. They call my OB, and you know, the doctor, she comes in, and then, you know, she checks me in there, and she's like, this is so much, because they kept cleaning and there was a lot, and I'm like, that's too much. I'm like, that's me. And she's like, it's coming from inside of you. And I'm like, she's like, it's almost like the baby's butt is right here and it's pooping straight out of your, you know, private part. And then she says, have you guys even checked if the baby's head is down? And I'm like, oh my god, like, I didn't want to hear that, you know. And one of them was like, yeah, we know, we checked earlier, like way earlier, and when I was like 4 centimeters, and she's like, and the head was down. And she's like, somebody go bring me the ultrasound machine. So somebody went and brought the ultrasound machine. And as I went to go get it, my doctor checked me, and she's like touching it. She's like, I don't know if I feel a butt cheek or like a nose, like something squishy. So we were like, oh no, you know, I was like, no, I don't want it to be breech, you know, I want my baby to be breech. So she gets the ultrasound thing, and she does an ultrasound. She's looking on the bottom, and she looks at me, and she's like, and she's going up, and she looks at me again, she goes, the head's right here. His head was up here, and I'm like, oh my god, like, so the baby was breech. So he decided to flip in the last minute, because she said that when she pulled him out, he was stretched out like this. His legs were out like this, and when they've been breech for a long time, their legs are up and their head are between their legs. So she said, your baby turned at the last minute, you know, because even the other nurse was like, you know, we felt the head down like earlier. So anyways, and as soon as she said that the baby was breech, I was like, oh god, I felt like crying, because I knew that they were gonna tell me that I was gonna need a C-section, and I'm like, this is not going how I planned it, doctor. So she's like, we're gonna have to do an emergency C-section, you know, especially because the baby pooped inside of you. We need to take him out fast, you know, like as soon as possible. So I was like, okay, you know, at that point there's nothing I can do, you know, you really want to do what's best for the baby, like. So I'm like, okay, you know, they made you sign, you know, they make you sign giving your consent that they're gonna do the C-section and all this crap. So then they dressed up Cesar, you know, with his lovely uniform and, you know, the whole cap that they put on me and stuff. And then they took me back. Oh, and another lady had a scheduled C-section, like, and she was supposed to go in, you know, she had already arrived and she was ready. They had to push her back. They're like, sorry, you know, she has to go first because, you know, this is really an emergency, you know, we need to get her in there. If a baby poops inside you, and, you know, when the baby's in there, they practice breathing, you know, they practice their first breaths even though they're just inhaling water. If they inhale that meconium stuff, they can have like respiratory problems. Like, it can be really dangerous. So I was like freaking out, guys. I was freaking out because I'm like, oh my god, I hope that the baby's okay and that he didn't inhale it, or that he's not born with problems, because some babies will go to the NICU for like months. Well, I don't know if months, but for a long time. And I was like, oh my god, like, this is like not what I had, you know, expected. And, you know, nothing's going like good right now. Everything just went downhill, you know. So they take me back to the surgery room or whatever. And I remember that when I was in there, I asked, are you guys gonna do like another poke in the back, or are you just gonna put the numbing medicine through my, you know, where you put the epidural? He's like, oh, we're gonna put it through your IV, not IV, the thing. I don't know where, but they weren't gonna poke me again. So I was like, whoo. So as soon as they put that numbing medicine, I don't know if it was anesthesia, non-anesthesia, I don't know what it was. You know, they numb you from like legs down. And you know, as soon as they did that, I started feeling so numb from my legs. And I don't know if, you know, I was still numb from the epidural, but I felt some movement, you know. I mean, I can move my feet. So when they did that, I felt so heavy, and I don't know if it's because I already had the epidural that it was like double worse. But I was numb up to here. Like, they had me like this. They have you lay down with your arms like this, and I could not. I would lift up an arm and it would fall, and I was like, oh, just kidding. Like, I couldn't lift up my arms. And then the anesthesiologist was behind me, and, you know, he's with you the whole time, making sure you don't feel any pain and that you're doing okay. So they're like preparing me and stuff, and I kept looking at the door like back, and then the anesthesiologist guy kept looking too, like thinking, you know, what is she looking at? And I'm like, I'm just waiting for my husband to get here, because, you know, I felt so lonely. And he's like, oh, he'll be here soon, you know, they're just, you know, he's not allowed to come in until they're, you know, everybody's ready. So finally he comes in, you know, and it felt like forever when I was in there. And I'm like, I can feel everything. I can feel my legs. I can feel you touching me. I can feel you like cleaning me or rubbing me, or I don't know what the hell you're doing. And they're like, yeah, you can have some feeling, you know, but you won't feel the cut or anything. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I can feel my leg falling off the table. And like, I was freaking out. So then the doctor started cutting me, and she's like, can you feel this? And I'm like, no. And she goes, okay, then you can't feel anything. And I'm like, okay. And she was already cutting me. She's like, I've already cut you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So anyways, so they're doing like the whole thing, you know, cutting and stuff. And I started having a panic attack, you guys. I was like, really? A panic attack right now? Like, so I started having a panic attack, and I'm like, and I started like hyperventilating, and I told the anesthesiologist, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. So then they gave me an oxygen mask, and I had an oxygen mask, and then I started feeling lightheaded, like I was falling asleep. And I'm like, am I passing out, or like, am I not allowed to sleep? Because I could sleep. I felt so good I could sleep. I mean, I was panicking, but I felt like light, like I'm just gonna pass out right now. And I'm like, don't fall asleep, you're gonna die, you know, that's you dying. Like there was all these things I was thinking. So then I started cracking up. I was like laughing because I remembered my older brother when he went in with his wife to have her C-section. Like, he went to go sit down on the little stool, and he fell off the thing and fell on his ass, like right there in front of everybody. So my sister-in-law started cracking up, you know, when my brother fell. So then I was remembering all this, like thinking, what if Cesar falls right now? And I started laughing and laughing. And you know, people probably thought I was dumb, but I felt so drunk. Like, you have no idea. I felt so drunk, and I was just laughing. And then oh, so then you know, everything, you know, after I'd been laughing for a long time, you know, I felt so dumb, but I couldn't help it. I was just laughing, and I'm like, don't think about it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I kept laughing. I was like, oh, mensa, like, ee. So then all of a sudden, I can hear the baby's heart going beep, 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 and I can hear mine, or I don't know what the hell. But everything went silent, you know, like Silent, that movie, the Dead Silence, where when something bad's gonna happen, everything goes and everything gets silent. I swear that's what it felt like. Everything went silent, and all I heard was beep, like this little ring. And then I remember that I went, oh my god. I'm like, did I die? I told the guy, did I die? Did my heart stop? Am I dead? And then he's like, no, you're fine. And then he looked at my heart, you know, my heart monitor, whatever was keeping my heart. What the hell you call it, where they check my heartbeat? He's like, no. He's like, you're doing good. Then I start cracking up again, and I looked at him, and I'm like, how am I gonna be dead if I'm talking? And I was like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Like, I was laughing, you guys. I hope that I'm not the only one that was acting like that, because I felt so stupid. And then I was telling like my husband in Spanish, you know, ¿Cómo voy a hablar? Si estoy muerta, ¿cómo voy a hablar? You know, like I was just laughing and laughing. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, what if that's the baby's heartbeat that stopped? Because, you know, he's on the monitor, bing, bing, bing. But I was so like out of it that I could not hear his heartbeat. All I heard was the beep, and then my face went. And then I told the guy, is that my baby's heartbeat? And then he goes, no. He goes, that's been on like since you've came in. And you know, that's, I don't know what machine he said it was, but you know, I guess it's been on the whole time. But it just stuck out to me when I was like all drunk and stuff, like feeling all woo. So I was like, oh my god. And then all of a sudden my doctor's like, okay, you're gonna feel tugging, you know, you're gonna feel tugging, and a lot of tugging and pressure. I didn't feel shit. Like, that's how numb I was. I didn't feel pressure, I didn't feel tugging. The only thing I felt was me going like this, because you know they're pulling, but that's not because they were moving me. And I'm like, okay. So then they kept pulling the baby out. You guys, when I was saying this in Spanish, I could not stop crying. I had to cut out a lot of the parts, but I think I'm okay now. Like, I could talk about it. Anyways, I don't know. I've been so emotional about this baby's birth. Like, you have no idea. With the other kids, wasn't as emotional as with this one. I think it's because of the whole experience, and you know, me being so scared, and him pooping inside me, and the whole C-section. Like, it was all new to me, you know. So, you know, I can feel them tugging and tugging. Not tugging me, but just the way I was moving. I knew that they were tugging because I was moving like, hey, what's going on? You know, but they struggled to get him out. Like, at least that's what it felt like to me. I don't know if it's normal, but I felt like they were taking forever to take him out. And you know, when they finally did take him out, I don't know if it was my nerves or what, but I could swear I heard my doctor say something about resuscitation, like we'll resuscitate or something. And that's when I'm like, my baby died. So I guess they pulled out the baby, and I think I forgot to mention this in my Spanish video. They pulled out the baby, and I remember that I can hear her saying, come on, cry for me, cry for me. And that's how I knew that the baby was already out. And then that's when I looked at the anesthesiologist, because he's the one that's looking at everything. Cesar is not allowed to look. So I remember that I asked the guy, I'm like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? And his expression, like, he got up and looked at the doctor, and he was like, and he would not look at me and not answer me. And this guy was so friendly and so talkative. So for him to not have answered me when I asked, I knew that something was wrong. I'm like, something is wrong because he's not answering me. So then he's just looking at them, and he's like, this is like him, like just looking at them. And then like he would not look at me, and I'm like, he looks worried himself, like what the hell's going on? So then I guess when the baby was pulled out, he had the umbilical cord wrap around his neck twice. And she said, well, after she, you know, I had him, she told me that it was really tight on him. So when they pulled him out, he was unresponsive. Like, he wasn't crying. He was just kind of like, so that's why she was trying to get him to cry. And that's why the guy didn't say nothing, because he's like, well, what do I say? You know, he's not moving when he knows that he probably will, but he didn't want to like tell me yet. So then I was freaking out, like you have no idea. I have never been so scared in my life. I was like, please, you know, I'm thinking my baby is dead. Like, I honestly thought my baby was dead. I was like, oh my God, he was born dead, or, you know, they can't revive him, they can't resuscitate him, like something is happening. So then I look at my husband over here. I look over, because that's all I could do was look at people's expressions to see what their expression was. And he was like looking everywhere, like, and I can hear him breathing heavily. And I don't know if it was my nerves, but to me it looked like he was panicking himself. So then I'm like, something is wrong. And I felt my tongue go numb from how scared I was. And then, you know, after a little while, I hear, wah, wah. Like, you know, I finally hear the baby like yell out like his first cry. And I remember going, oh my God, thank God. I thought they were going to give me like the bad news that my baby didn't make it. And as soon as I heard the baby cry, they gave him to the nurses, and the nurses took off with him like really fast to another room, you know, and which I knew was expected, because, you know, they wanted to make sure he didn't inhale, because they even told me, you know, we want to make sure he didn't inhale the meconium. So then this other nurse comes and gets Cesar, and she's like, you know, Daddy, come with me. So they take him, and I'm just like this, laying there, like, just okay, you know, just waiting for like some news, you know, like an update. I mean, hey, this ain't no damn cheesecake. It just looks like bread. I'm gonna speak to the manager. Look, I thought it was gonna be creamy like cheesecake. No, they lied to me. Anyway, so my doctor says, can somebody please give her an update? Like, you know, you guys have her here just like waiting. Like, somebody please tell her what's going on with the baby. So in you know, my mind, I'm like, thank you, doctor, thank you for telling him to like tell me something. But I was also afraid to ask, because I'm like, what if it's not good news? Like, I'm afraid to ask, you know, what's going on. So then one of the nurses runs back, and then she comes back and she goes, the baby has really good lungs. He is crying and crying, which is a good sign, you know, because his lungs are good. He's pink, he has a good color, you know, everything's looking good. And she goes like this. So I'm like, whew, you know. She takes off. And I'm going to try to say this next part without crying, because I always get emotional when I talk about this part. So, let me get another bite of this brownie. That's a good brownie. I had to distract myself, you guys, because I cried in my last video, and I don't want to do it here. Wait. So, after I've been there for a while, you know, Cesar finally comes in, and I remember I looked at him and I said, the first words that came out when I saw him is, who does he look like? And he goes, Emily. Emily's my daughter, my oldest, well, duh, my daughter, my only daughter. And then he's like, I have pictures, and he tried showing me pictures, but when I saw Cesar come in, I was bawling. I started crying. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, like, you know, started crying like a little girl. And I could not stop crying, and that's when I'm like, well, who does he look like? And he's like, Emily. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm crying, and he's trying to show me pictures. My eyes, you know, it's all blurry with all the tears, and I can't see. And I'm like, you know what, I'll wait till they bring him to me, because I want to see him in person. Like, for the first time, I want to see him clearly, like, you know, in person. So he's like, okay. And then the whole time he's holding my hand, and he's rubbing my hand, and I'm crying and crying and crying. Like, I don't know why I got so emotional when I saw Cesar come in. So then like after a few minutes passed, here comes this lady. She was like Asian. I still remember her. She was tiny, this tiny little lady. And she's like, oh, she's like, all right, do you want them on your chest or where do you want them? And I'm like, yeah, just give them to me, you know, give them to me. So then they, you know, they put them on your chest. They turn them around this way. Like, this is the baby. This is his head. This is his face. They put him like this right here, and I remember going like this and just bawling my eyes out, like crying and crying and crying and kissing him and kissing him. And I was like, oh my God, you know, because I had gone through that scare of like, oh my God, he's not breathing, or what's going on? Did he pass away? Is he born like, was he born like not alive? Like, there's all this crap going through my head. And I think that's why I'm so emotional about this baby, because I think I actually thought I was gonna lose him, or that I had lost him. So when I knew that he was okay, it's like I get so emotional. Anyways, so I'm kissing him, and they're like, you know, you can hold him as long as you want. And I was like, but the way that I was laying down and the baby was laying, I was like, you know, he's squeezing his hands like this, and I'm like, he's probably uncomfortable. I'm like, you know, you can take him now. So then they took him. I just wanted them to sew me up fast so that I can go, you know, and hold him and be like, my baby, you know. So then they took him, and then they took Cesar with him, and they had to do skin to skin with Cesar, because with me they couldn't do it, you know. And you know, they want to put the baby skin to skin with you as soon as they're born, because it's good for them. But since I couldn't, they did it with him. So after they were done, you know, oh, my doctor, everybody was saying jokes in there. They knew how freaked out I was and how emotional I was crying, you know. So they were trying to like cheer me up, not cheer me up, but try to make me feel like, you know, more comfortable or relaxed, because they saw how much I was crying. That they all started saying jokes, like, oh, I have a joke, you know, who has a joke? And like, you know, it did distract me a little bit, you know. I started calming down. So then they were done, and they bring me back to my room. My mom and dad are there, which they had been there, you know. As soon as I was 7 centimeters, I called my mom, and my mom went and took my kids to my cousin's house. So then I go into the room, and then my mom and dad are there, you know, and Cesar's holding the baby, and you know, I'm like, bring my baby, and then they brought him to me, and I started bawling again. I was crying and crying, and I was like just looking at him, and I'm like, oh, he's so cute. He does look like Emily. Like, I was just so emotional. And he weighed 7 pounds 14 ounces. He was almost 8 pounds, and he was 20 inches long. Like, my doctor's like, he's a long baby. Like, she's like, he's really long, and I'm like, really? But anyways, yeah, so that's how much he weighed, and he was born at 3:26 p.m. And yeah, his name is Santiago Yair. Yair is his middle name, but his first name is Santiago. And yeah, like right now he looks so different. He looks nothing like when he was born. He's like, he had hair when he was born, and he still does now, but he's lost so much hair that he looks like he has like a big ass forehead. Like, you know, he just looks like an old man. You know, like the old men that are losing hair up here, but they have hair over here. That's kind of what he reminds me of. And I'll probably just insert pictures of him, because right now he's sleeping and I am not waking him up. So yeah, I'll just put pictures of him up here so you can see him. But yeah, that was my labor and delivery. I forgot I was eating my brownie. My kids are so crazy out there right now. And let me tell you that if you follow me on Snapchat, you'll know that I said on there that a C-section is the worst thing that you can ever have. Like, not like the worst thing ever, but compared to a natural birth, C-section is worse. And when people are like, C-sections are worse, and you know, I would be the one that would like, how? If you're ripping your vagina open to deliver baby. I'm sorry I ever thought that way, because after experiencing both, the vaginal births is a piece of cake. Like, you hurt in that moment, then after that you might be a little sore, but that's it. With the C-section, it took me almost 4 months to finally feel like normal. I couldn't cough, I couldn't breathe. I would be like, oh my god, oh my god, and I'm like, oh, I hope I don't cough, I hope I don't sneeze. It hurts so damn bad. So if you had all C-sections, my respects, because C-sections are horrible. Like, the pain, oh my gosh, like I couldn't even stand up off the bed, because with the weight of my ex's skin pulling on my incision, I was like, and then air goes into you and you feel like pain in your shoulders. Like, I cried. I was like, my shoulders hurt. I was being the biggest baby. But anyways, yeah, so that's my labor and delivery story. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye guys.